70% of women are the ones that initiate the divorces in this country. Why black men walk out of their families? Because the women are...
That's all, folks. Welcome to MAGA's Victim Tunes, where he gives us a narrative that is so laughably bad that it's almost as comical as Looney Tunes. I'm just gonna be straightforward with these MGTOWs. I am sick and tired of many of these people who continue with these ludicrous and bitter rants that constantly paint women as the bad guy, and then is almost always the poor little victim. Ooh! When will these MGTOW ever admit that maybe a significant amount of these divorces initiated by women may be in some way the man's fault? Has the thought of personal responsibility ever crossed the minds of some of these people? Oh, I'm sorry, that would go against the narrative that these people constantly try to shove down our throats. Instead of a fair and objective analysis of the divorce situation, what do we often get? We commonly see many of these MGTOWs constantly complain and blame everyone else for their problems, but never ever take a look at themselves in the mirror and ask, maybe I'm the problem. I'm sick of the blame games, the victim games, and all these ludicrous accusations. Anti-MGTOW isn't the danger here. What is in danger is that the MGTOW's weak and destructive narrative is being exposed. It's time that we do some fact-checking here. Good morrow, ladies and gents. It is I, the Crimson Crusader, your favorite anti-MGTOW YouTuber, who is here to separate reality from the biased and fictional MGTOW narrative that is infecting the minds of men. This will be my last video responding to MAGA Man's attack video against the anti-MGTOW community. If you haven't seen my previous videos responding to MAGA, go check that out first before watching this video. As in every video responding to another content creator, this is only a critical analysis of their content and arguments. Any facts or statistics that are mentioned in this video are mainly relevant to the United States and not other countries. With that out of the way, let's play more of that video clip we just heard from MAGA.
70% of women are the ones that initiate the divorces in this country. Why black men walk out of their families? Because the women are demanding, commanding, wanting, taking their fucking money, if they're, and I've said this, you know what the number one serious fucking reason, anybody can fact check me on this, you want to know what the number one reason is for fucking divorce in this country? Gender equality. Reason number one, that men and women have to be exactly the same, and the rest of the reasons are the most selfish fucking arrogant things you can ever imagine. That we didn't say our woman was sexy or beautiful enough.
What the heck? Who divorces a guy for not saying that his wife is beautiful enough? Dude, I have to wonder if you're just making this stuff up now. If that's even true, what kind of guy would marry a woman like that? I mean, if that's how she is, you would think there would be some serious and obvious red flags here that a guy would be able to pick up on. Oh, darn it, it seems like I shouldn't expect men to take some responsibility here, based off of what I'm hearing. Oops, I just spoke against the propaganda. I mean, the truth that the MGTOW community has been enlightening us with. Oh, and remember, folks, that when looking at most divorce cases, man victim, oh, and woman does bad things. Ugh. Oh my gosh. But anyways, I have to ask you, MAGA Man, is what you're saying based off personal experience or actual quantifiable data and statistics that could prove your point? Look, man, I agree with you that there are some women out there who can be very selfish and even borderline narcissistic. But you're making quite a serious accusation against women in general who divorce men, and you haven't exactly proved much. Now, going back to what you said about black families and divorce, it's clear to me that you are oversimplifying the complexity of the unfortunate situation that those people face. Sure, maybe the mother could be part of the issue, but you also fail to mention how irresponsible fathers can contribute to creating a single mother household or lead to women divorcing men. Also, how come you don't mention substance abuse and gang violence that some of these black men are getting involved in? Shouldn't we also include those factors into the equation? Why do you not talk about this part of the story and continue to only mention the things that women do? Women this, women that. Not all women are innocent, but men can also be part of the problem as well. Also, gender equality is not the number one reason for divorce. According to an article from Insider, the most common reason for divorce is lack of commitment. Statistically speaking, 75% of these participants in a study said lack of commitment was a reason for why they want to end their marriage. But even then, this is still an oversimplification of the divorce situation, because in many cases there are multiple reasons for divorce, and some of these reasons are interrelated. For example, the reason why lack of commitment may be one of the most common reasons could be because infidelity makes up 59.6% of reasons why people divorce. Perhaps they feel a lack of commitment to their partner because of their partner's infidelity. However, to be fair, this study I'm referring to only consisted of 52 people, which is not a large enough sample population to conclude what the most common reason for divorce is. So, I did some more research and found another source from a website run by attorneys who specialize in family law, and they also listed common reasons for why couples divorce. According to them, 73% of people who divorce put down lack of commitment as one of their reasons, followed by too much arguing at 56% and infidelity at 55%. These statistics seem to concur with the findings of the previous source I mentioned, and the percentages are very similar to the previous study. After reading more articles on this issue, I commonly see extramarital affairs, commonly referred to as cheating, as something listed in the top 3 reasons for divorce. What is clear is that infidelity, as well as many other factors, do contribute significantly to the divorce rates we see, rather than gender equality. Divorce is often very complex, and there's a lot of emotion involved. I challenge MAGA Man and many of these other MGTOWs to drop their victim narrative and stop oversimplifying things. Don't preach to me about facts and statistics when you can't even get your facts straight or provide a thoughtful and objective analysis. Anyways, in the future, I would like to explore this topic some more. Also, MAGA Man, your definition of gender equality sucks. You seem to be misconstruing what gender equality actually is. Gender equality is not about saying men and women are the same on a biological or even a cognitive level. Anyone who paid attention in a biology course in high school to some extent should already know this. And anyways, according to dictionary.com, gender equality is simply defined as, quote, the state of having the same rights, status, and opportunities as others regardless of one's gender. Even Cambridge Dictionary states that the definition of gender equality means that men and women should be treated equally, and that when someone says this, it means that, and I quote, gender equality does not imply that women and men are the same, but that they have equal value and should be accorded equal treatment. It should be obvious by now that gender equality is referring to the treatment of someone based on their gender, rather than advocating for both men and women to have identical gender roles, or claiming that both men and women are, from a biological standpoint, the same. Yes, maybe some people take it too far, but let us not confuse the extremist stance with that of your average person who actually knows what gender equality is. So after all this, MAGA talks about his battle with suicide and how God has a plan for him. I'm sorry to hear that you've struggled with these issues, and I'm glad to see that you are alive, MAGA, and I'd like to ask you guys in the audience to keep MAGA in your thoughts and in your prayers. I sympathize with you, MAGA, but I must admit that I am disappointed and concerned with how you are misrepresenting and demonizing my community. Is this part of God's plan for you to demonize us? It's interesting that you believe in God's plan, yet MGTOW believe in focusing on themselves and going their own way. If God truly has a plan for us, then maybe these MGTOW need to start going God's way instead of going their own way. MGTOW should stop making themselves the center of their world. Shouldn't they be doing something that is beyond themselves and focus on a life centered in God's love and emulating Jesus by trying to serve others instead of being so self-absorbed with oneself like many of these MGTOWs are? Shouldn't that be part of God's plan?
The opposition needs to admit that they, not us, are the fucking problem. Some of these women are the fucking problem. The system is a problem. The family court is a problem. The bullshit that they put on the fucking TV sets is a problem. Society is the fucking problem, and it's not us that needs to be fixed. You fuckers out there need to be fucking fixed. All of you need to go see psychiatrists and psychologists.
Oh, so now you're going to behave like an angry feminist and start blaming other people. That's definitely going to work. The projection and guilt tripping illustrates how weak your narrative is. You are so desperate to rationalize your extreme and hyperbolized victim narrative by finding scapegoats and coming up with excuses. In fact, MGTOWs and MAGA's fictional dystopia is crazier and more depressing than the idea of a zombie apocalypse. Not every MGTOW is a victim, and maybe MAGA has been treated unfairly. But it's time that some of these MGTOW in the MGTOW community take some personal responsibility here. I'm sick of these guys acting like the male version of the crazy SJW feminists. Anti-MGTOWs are sick and tired of many of these MGTOWs who support and engage in irresponsible behavior. It's so sad to see that MAGA is spreading these ludicrous accusations that try to brainwash others into thinking anti-MGTOW and society are the problems. Many of us are sick of your shaming tactics and you trying to preach to us about a community that you don't understand. I'm not an effer, MAGA. I'm a person just like you. You may think it's okay to curse and shame other people that don't agree with your little narrative, but I don't condone such barbaric vocabulary or your attempts to disparage others into shutting up. I know what you're doing, and I won't stand for it. This channel will always stand for dignity and respect. As tempting as it is to hurl insults back, I will continue to stand for what I believe in. You can call us effers, simps, betas, white knights, sad people, psychos, and demonize us in any way you like, but some of us are going to stand for what we believe in. If anything, MGTOW is part of the problem. It's MGTOW because their ideology is a failure, and their community has so much social degeneracy and filth that it's dirtier than the water in Flint, Michigan. MGTOW doesn't provide any solutions because they can't even give us an objective and truthful assessment of the real problems that men face. Tell me, how is constantly providing us with this negative narrative about women give us an objective analysis of the situation? It's no wonder we have people calling MGTOW men getting triggered over women. Looks like the radical feminists have some competition.
Because true conservatives would believe in, I don't know, family, for example, and not yourself. Believing in something bigger and something greater, like family and blood.
Don't you dare lecture us about what a true conservative is when you tried to falsely flag down my video criticizing you because you got triggered when I called you out. I thought conservatives believed in free speech and respecting other people's opinions. If you are a conservative that believes in things beyond yourself, why do you support MGTOW, which is probably one of the most extreme and self-absorbed movements to ever rear its ugly head on YouTube? MGTOW cares more about the individual man and neglects to understand the importance of love and community. When have you ever heard a MGTOW emphasize the importance of love and community in a man's life? Those who believe in family values and going beyond oneself should not be supporting the highly individualistic nature of the MGTOW movement. Individualism, according to Merriam-Webster, is defined as, quote, a doctrine that the interests of the individual are or ought to be ethically paramount. Those who truly value family put the common good of the family first, while balancing the needs of the individual. Someone who believes in family ought to recognize that both community and the individual are equally important, and that in some cases it is important to prioritize one over the other. This is because all people have inherent dignity and value, while also having moral responsibilities to others. Thus, it is only reasonable that we put more emphasis on the relationship between the individual and the community. Individualism is just as cancerous as collectivism, in the sense that both are flawed, and both do not balance the unique individual nature of the human person with the communal aspects inherent in all people. These innate qualities are demonstrated by our desire to love others, to socialize with others, to express ourselves in different ways, and our desire to live a life that is meaningful.
Let us take care of ourselves. And until you are in our situation, mind your fucking business. Take a walk into the door's right there. Don't let the doorknob hit your ass on the way out.
For someone who thinks he's a true conservative, you sure don't act like one in this video. What kind of conservative tries to send his opposition on a guilt trip just for disagreeing with them? You can try to derail the conversation and play games all you want, but it's not going to stop me from exposing the pathetic MGTOW movement. I have the right to freely express myself and be a part of the conversation, no matter how triggered you are. Your experience doesn't give you the right to dictate who's allowed to speak and who's not. Look, maybe if MGTOW was just a group of guys that talk amongst themselves, I don't think people would care. But once a community starts to openly talk about public issues on public platforms and encourages other men and even young boys to join its ranks, it becomes fair game for us to criticize you. I'm sick and tired of this disingenuous narrative from some of these MGTOW and others who pretend that MGTOW just wants to be left alone and they are guys who aren't doing anything. Ironically, these are the same people who often love to criticize women, society, and politicians, but they go ballistic when someone dares to question them. That's evident by the fact that MAGA falsely accused me of stealing one of his videos and tried to falsely flag down my video even though I was following fair use. When MGTOW and people like MAGA go out there shaming other people and talking about public issues, that's okay. But when an anti-MGTOW tries to share a different perspective, he often gets shamed and disrespected. MGTOW is a community full of hypocrisy and double standards that rivals the mental gymnastics of the radical feminists. MAGA, enough with this arrogant attitude where you think you guys can just fix yourselves on your own. MGTOW having this attitude of self-help doesn't help. The belief that one's own efforts can primarily solve his own personal problems fails to consider that a personal problem could be a matter that is greater and outside of the realm of the individual. Some personal problems are too great of a burden to bear on our own. That is why we must ask for help in those situations, because the individual and the community are interdependent. However, I do not deny that the individual has the capacity to solve certain issues. But in other situations, we need to seek the help of others. We are not islands, we are social beings, and sometimes we can't fix ourselves. Anyways, MAGA, if you can't handle other opinions, maybe it's time you take a hike and fix your attitude and come back with something of actual substance. Well, folks, that's the last of what I have to say about that cringy and pathetic video of his. I want you folks to take away one thing from this video. You have a right to be part of the MGTOW conversation. Don't allow these people to use projection and shaming tactics to scare you away. Anti-MGTOW, I hope that one day we will be a strong and great community. That starts by defending our values in our community, and that starts with the action this channel is taking to reach that goal. To reach our goal, you can help make that dream a reality by supporting this channel by subscribing and liking this video. You can also follow me on BitChute and Twitter. What does it mean to truly value the family? What do you think is the real reason behind a lot of these divorces? And most importantly, how can anti-MGTOWs like myself encourage others to be a part of the conversation? Let me know in the comments below. My fair ladies and honorable gents, fare thee well.